shortly.
Sorry, Letitia.
We will be having a series of entrepreneurial wellness events in upcoming year and some business workshops. We have a QR code also. Sorry, on the past screen, if you scan that code, it will bring you directly to wrong way.
Wrong way. Hold on. Wait. Let me stop so I can go back to it because there's too much going on the screen. Hold on.
So yeah, once she gets back to that screen, that's a QR code that you could scan. It'll bring you directly to our website. And if you go on the events tab, you'll also see all the events that we have coming up and the registration links for you to get to the event. So everyone could take a second and screenshot that. I'll also be posting the links shortly. So our next event is an in-person event in Hartford. It's our 4th annual holiday networking event. It'll be Thursday, the 8th of December from 5 to 8 p.m. at the Russells. It's a Caribbean restaurant in downtown Hartford. For everyone that is on the call today, we have a special code. The cost to attend the event is $25. It's a small fee because it is a fundraiser. So we will be donating a portion of the proceeds to the Village for Families and Children, which is a shelter within Hartford. And they will use that money to give to their residents so they could purchase gifts for their children. So the cost is $25, but for everyone here today, we do have a $10 off code. The code is CMWP 2022, and that's only good for today. So you have until 11:59 p.m. To use that code. I'm going to put the direct registration link in the chat now, so everyone could grab that. We really hope to see everyone there. We would really like a nice turnout. For the $25, you also get food, great food. There'll be raffles. Everyone will get 1 drink ticket. We will have a DJ Q Boogie. She's amazing. She's from the Hartford area. And we really hope to see a lot of people there. The next event is, this one is virtual. It's our quarterly business coaching. We had one event in October on the 19th. The next one is coming up January 18th. Then we'll have another one, the third one in April on the 19th. And then the final one, July 19th of next year. So what that is a series of, each session will be a working session where you develop 3 SMART goals for your business. And throughout the sessions, we'll just help you really dive into those goals and really just finalize them and get them together. So the event, the link for that is there, but I'm also going to post it in the chat.
Yes.
That is a free virtual event on Zoom. So you can register for that there. And then our next workshop is February. Samantha Williams will also be leading this, February 15th, 2023, and it's capability statements and business certifications. So capability statements are resumes for your business, right? If you work in the corporate world, you have a resume, but if you have a business, you're supposed to have a capability statement. So Samantha will walk us through how to create a capability statement, and she'll talk about business certifications. So as a Black and minority, there's a number of different certifications that we all should have. It's a process to get them. So Samantha will walk us through what those certifications are, why should we get them, what the benefits are, and show us how to actually do that. So the link for that event, go ahead, Samantha.
Thank you, Letitia. Yes, so Letitia just walked through all of our events. We have a lot coming up. There's more in addition to this. We'll be doing the capability statements, business certifications are so important. You're going to hear me even talk about them today as you talk about proposal writing, because it all comes together. So I would like to introduce myself. We have a lot of new people here. So I am Samantha Williams. In addition to being the president, founder of the Collaboration of Minority Women Professionals, also our nonprofit arm, CMWP Foundation. I'm also the president and CEO of 628 Digital Design, where we provide inclusive digital content design and strategy for diverse audiences. I'm also the owner of Melanated Business Coaching, where I assist Black women in business with business coaching, and I serve on the boards of Clifford Bears Clinic in New Haven, Connecticut, and Orchard House in Branford, Connecticut. Down below on the left are some of the awards I've been so gracious to receive over the years. 2020 Quinnipiac Women's Achievement Award for Community Impact. 2021 from Our Ladies at the Collaboration of Minority Women Professional for Women's Leadership. And on the 29th of this month, I'll be receiving a Women in Business Award from New Haven Biz Magazine, also part of the Harvard Business Journal. Down below on the right are some of those certifications and business designations that Letitia was talking about. So in our next workshop in February, we're going to go deep dive into some of these and more, because there's a lot more out there. But always remembering to showcase your business and the work that you're doing. So we're going to get started with some polls, and Randy's going to be helping with the polls today. Thank you, Randy. So I want to know, just to kick it off, who has never written a business proposal? Is this brand spanking new to you? Are you starting, or are you a triple OG in these proposal writing streets? Where are you at? I saw Sam, the grant writer, came in. Hey, Sam. So
hey, Sam, how you doing?
Hey, Sam. So I'm good. So the proposal writing has a lot of similarities with the grant writing, but it's also a different process. It's a different document. So there's some of you who may have a lot of experience, and some of you who may be getting new, be a little new to it. So Randy's doing the polls, and then we'll see those results when those are done. Randy, how are we with the poll?
We have 36 out of 47 folks who have participated so far. So let's give it about another minute or so, just in case people are trying to navigate their screen.
Awesome, awesome. So yes, take a look at the choices and let us know, how are you doing with proposal writing? This helps me level set too, so I know who in the room. If I'm talking to a bunch of other writers, oh, I'm gonna love that, because this would be easy. But if you struggle with it a little bit, just let me know. This is a safe space also. I like to tell everyone, this is a safe space, so it's okay.
So we have 87% participation. That's 41 out of 47. That's probably excluding myself. Who are already part of the collaboration, or maybe mobile and can't actually use their phone. So safety first, if that's to be you. And if you can access the chat and you can't see the poll, just drop your response in the chat.
Yes. And Randy, are you able to show the poll results?
I am. As soon as the poll is done, we will see how our audience is divided up based on their responses. So I think we have just about everyone participating who's able to participate, because it's been 2 minutes since the last answer. So I'm going to end the poll here and actually show the results. Can you see that? The results shared?
Can y'all see the results? I cannot, I guess, because I'm sharing my screen.
I can see it.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you're sharing your screen, those of us that are, we won't be.
Okay, Letitia or Randy, can y'all walk through the poll results?
So of the 40 folks are answered, about half of the folks on the call are new to this, and about 39% is 39% has some experience. We have 10% that say I'm an expert, and 2% that say I need help.
Okay, all right. That's good. That's why we're here.
If you are on your mobile device and you can't see it, you might need to swipe left.
And then our second poll question, who here is interested or already doing federal government contracting? Are you interested in government opportunities? Are you only interested in corporate? So Randy will launch that poll question, and then we'll see what those responses are.
So we have about a little over a half of folks already participating in this poll. You're a lot faster than last time.
They're on it now.
And about 86% that have answered so far said, I am interested in contracting opportunities.
Y'all better be, because there's billions of dollars on the table in the government space. Billions with the B, with the B.
So we have most of our folks responding. And I'm gonna stop the poll. If you didn't get a chance to answer, drop it in the chat. And here are the results. So we have 81% of the folks on the call that say, yes, I am interested in federal government contract opportunities. Only 2% that said no, which is one person. And one person, about 4 people said maybe. And then 3 people on the call said, what is that?
Oh, okay. All right. So, the government contracting opportunities is really important because the government does business with everybody. They buy everything. And once you start to learn more about that space and the things that are required, you'll probably get more interested in it. Our next workshop, we're going to cover that a lot more, the federal government contracting opportunities. And today, we're going to get into proposal writing and the different types of solicitations. So there's 6 or more types that I have here on the screen now. The pre-solicitation, request for quotation, you have your request for information and your sources sought. Then you have your solicitation, your request for proposals, your combined synopsis and solicitations, and invitations for bids. Is there anyone who knows the differences between these? Is this brand new to you guys?
Just drop your comments in the chat.
Drop your comments in the chat. All right, Corinne is familiar with these. Natasha's very familiar. So the main difference between these, notice they're kind of separated. You have your top row and your bottom row. This top row, these are not open for proposals. They're not actually going to lead to a finished contract. Okay, these down below are, when you see solicitation, request for proposal, invitation for bids, these are entities saying, please submit your proposals so we can see your qualifications. So that these are the types of solicitations that were on that first row, right? Pre-solicitation, sources sought, RFI, RFQ. So what these mean is that it's not an open solicitation, but what the government is doing, what corporations are doing, is really testing the market to see who's available, to see the capabilities of those organizations that may be interested in submitting a proposal should this become an actual solicitation. These organizations could be looking for timeline. What does it cost, right? So if you submit a proposal and say, this is what it's going to cost, that's going to let that agency know, should we wait to submit this as an RFP or should we do it now? Do we have the funds? Do we need to wait until next quarter, right? So again, it may or may not be followed by a contract. The others will definitely be followed by a contract. So it's letting you know of a potential opportunity in the future, right? That's a lot of ifs and maybes. I don't know. Maybe it will be, maybe it won't be. It lets you see the solicitations, see what these agencies are looking for, and then also allows you an opportunity to look at your skills and qualifications and your capabilities. And some may ask for information for you to submit and others may not. But again, it's strategically designed to get information about those different firms in the market who may be interested in submitting a proposal should this become an RFP. And then you have the other side of it, those that are an actual solicitation and RFP. So what does that mean? It means that that agency, that corporation that issued that solicitation, they are interested. They're ready to work with somebody. They want to bring somebody in. It's going to list all of this information down below. Your point of contact and also the important deadlines. Every RFP has deadlines and they may vary. Some may have a Q&A period, some may not. A lot of them do, but you want to be mindful of the Q&A period. There may be a pre-bid meeting that's going to be scheduled, so you want to register for that. You want to make sure you put it on your calendar. Some organizations will close you out if you don't attend the pre-bid meeting. So in order to even be able to submit a proposal, you need to attend that meeting. And then, of course, you have your submission deadline. And again, raise your hand or put information in the chat, any questions in the chat you have as I'm going through this, because it's going to be a lot. It's also going to include the scope of work and the proposal submission details. We're going to go all through the proposal submission details. Most RFPs will have a comprehensive contract. And so it will list all of the rules. It will list insurance requirements, any forms. You may have to go get information notarized before you can submit it. And then if there's any set-asides, any designated set-asides. So we talked about certifications and socioeconomic designations. Those are your set-asides. So is this opportunity only for a certified woman-owned small business? Because you could be a woman-owned small business, but if you're not certified, then you're not eligible for that. So is the opportunity only for a veteran-owned business or a minority business enterprise? So if the opportunity comes out and it's exactly what you do, but it's only for veterans, don't waste your time and prepare a proposal, because you're never going to get it. That opportunity has been designated for that particular set aside. So when you see the RFP, you have to go through it thoroughly and make sure you're understanding exactly what it is they're looking for. All right, so now when we get started with the proposal writing process, there's a lot of questions we have to ask. And some of these questions are twofold, right? So the who, what, where, how, when, why, right? Who is the agency or corporation that is putting this opportunity out there? But then also, who on your team, or do you need to partner with somebody to get this, to fulfill the scope of work in that RFP? What is the scope of work that they're looking for? And then also where are you submitting this proposal when you're done? Also, where's the work being done? Is this a virtual opportunity? Is it hybrid? Do you have to be in person? Do you need to travel? You need to have all that understood. How do they want this proposal received? Because you have to pay attention to that, and we're going to go through that thoroughly. And then how are you going to get the work done? Do you have capacity? Do you have the people? Do you have the actual skills, right? We talked about when, with all of the deadlines. And yes, you will have access to the workshop. How to become certified is going to be our February workshop, February 15th. So make sure you register for that. When is it due? We talked about the deadlines and why. Why is this opportunity available? All of the RFPs will explain that. They'll say this organization is requesting these services or products because. So that's important information, because you're going to need that when it's time to get ready to write your proposal. Yes, lots of questions about the February workshop. Well, about getting certified. That is the February workshop. So before you get started writing the proposal, again, understanding the type of opportunity that you're submitting for, and understanding that the information that's requested in the RFP, it may differ based on the solicitation type. So if you're doing a sources sought, then they're probably not going to ask for a lot of information compared to doing a full response to an RFP. The sources sought are always really good to respond to. The sources sought is in that group of solicitations that are not RFPs. But what they're doing with the sources sought is, again, they're looking to see who's in the market. But if less than 3 types of a set aside apply for it, do not submit a proposal for an sources sought. They will not designate that proposal, the RFP, when it comes out, as a sources sought. So say a sources sought comes out for social media management, right? And I don't submit a proposal for that sources sought. Then when that sources sought comes out, when the proposal comes out, the RFP comes out, it's not going to have a set aside for women-owned small business or women business enterprise, minority business enterprise. But if 3 people who are certified as a women-owned small business, at least a minimum of 3, submit a proposal for that sources sought, then they can change the set aside for when they release that RFP for only women-owned small businesses. And again, we're going to talk about this in depth in February during our capability statement and business certification workshop. But the certification is important because governments and corporations have set aside goals. So for instance, the federal government has a set aside goal of 5%. 5% of all their government spending has to go to certified women-owned small businesses. And guess what? Last year, they did not reach that. They only did 4% of their business, their spend with women-owned small businesses. So this is why you get the certifications. That's a little tidbit for you guys, right? So back to the proposal, you want to make sure that you're qualified to do the work, or you're partnering, teaming up with another company who y'all can do the work together, or you could also subcontract out that work, right? So you say, this is what I do. I'm going to subcontract with another company. They're going to do all the work, but I'm going to be the prime on that project. So those are things for you to think about. And then reviewing your previous commitments. Do you really have capacity to perform the work listed here? And understand and incorporate the language within the solicitation. So what that means is basically you're copying and pasting exactly what's in the solicitation, because when you prepare your proposal, you're going to be speaking their language. They're going to like what you have to say because you're saying exactly what they said. And then you start building your project team. Are you teaming up with someone? Do you need to work internally to get everyone together? If you're a solopreneur, are you ready? Are you capable? Do you have capacity to do the work? Ladies, are there any questions in the chat that I need to look at?
Nope, you're all set.
Awesome. So one of the most important steps in writing your proposal is reading the RFP thoroughly and following all of the directions. If you do not follow the directions as outlined in the RFP, it doesn't matter how great your proposal is, it will be disqualified, you will be eliminated, and you will not be eligible for that opportunity. So it's not about, when you're writing your proposal, it's not about all of the great things you do and who you are and what you want this organization to know. Instead, what it is about is you responding exactly to that RFP and that solicitation and giving them what they want to hear. Because if you don't give them what they want as they want it, they will toss your proposal very quickly. Can nonprofits get government contracts? Yes. So when you're writing the proposal, you only want to give them what they want. The solicitation will outline all of the details and every single thing that you need to include in your proposal. That's what you include in your proposal. If they ask for information, you do not leave it out. You respond to everything. If they ask for something that doesn't apply to you, then everything is labeled and numbered like bullet points in your RFP, and that's how you're going to structure your proposal. So if D says to, like, for instance, submit your proof of nonprofit status, and you don't have that, then you would list D and you would say proof of nonprofit status, non-applicable. But you're going to address every single thing that they have listed in the RFP. You want to respond to everything that's listed, and you also want to pay attention to the scoring criteria. The scoring criteria comes in handy. For instance, I've submitted proposals for California-based organizations, and their scoring criteria says, if you live in California, you get extra points or extra percentage. If you're certified as a MWBE, Minority Women Business Enterprise in California, you get additional points or percentages in your favor. So I know automatically I'm not certified in California yet, and I don't live in California. So I already know I'm not going to get this percentage or this amount of points. So you want to look at the scoring criteria. You want to see how it's weighted and if it's worth your time to actually prepare the proposal. And remember, any proposals that are incomplete, excessively long, or late will be eliminated. And never give them more than required. All right, any questions We're going through a lot. So put your questions in the chat. Raise your hand if you want to stop me and ask a question. Otherwise, I'll just keep going. So this is an example of a company whose proposal was found non-compliant, and then they were not eligible to continue in that proposal process. This I just saw, I came across this maybe 2 weeks ago, and I said, oh, this is going in my PowerPoint. And so that what lists here are, these are the different companies that submitted a proposal for this opportunity. And then you can see here, Pulsar Strategies is listed when it says compliance, non-compliant. And why? The technical proposal copies are not bound or stapled and included a cost proposal that are not sealed. Offer is no longer being considered. So their RFP said your proposal must be bound or stapled. Theirs were not. And they needed to submit a sealed proposal. The proposal was not sealed, and just like that, they're eliminated from being considered for this opportunity. Yes, Natasha, something so simple. If you do not follow the rules, you are out of here. And I saw someone raise their hand. Ladies, who's raising their hand?
That was me, Alimata.
Alimata. Hi, Alimata. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Yourself?
I'm good.
Good. I recently submitted a proposal, but for my understanding, we were supposed to upload some documentation, but during the submission, they did not request that. So I don't know how, how it went, or how, if we should still wait for the response. But again, as I said at the beginning, yeah, I'm pretty new to this, and that was my first time to submit one, and so far I don't know what is the status.
So you submitted the proposal, and they said that you would also need to upload an additional document?
No, for my understanding, because we needed to put the, bring the proof of status, because it was an international project. It was based internationally, so we had to monitor with some other NGOs. So I submitted, but so far they haven't required anything yet. So I don't know if I should just wait or, get to them, because I sent them the message, but they didn't even reply yet. So I don't know this.
Has the submission date passed already?
No, I submitted right on time. Actually, it was, we were right on time, and it was not late, no.
Okay, because during the Q&A period is where you have an opportunity to ask, or anytime before. So the Q&A period is for questions specific to the RFP and the work or product service being provided. But anytime before the submission deadline, you can contact the point of contact, and you can send them an email or call them and say, hey, I know this is required, but I don't see where to submit that. Okay. You still may be able to. They may, well, now it's part of the submission process, so it may be too late, but that's the only thing I would suggest, is try to contact them and see where is it, or say I was unable, because I've done that too. There's been times I was trying to submit a proposal and the system wasn't working, and I sent emails. I sent emails with documentation, like screenshots saying, can you please extend the deadline, because I'm ready. Like I've even included an attachment of my full proposal. Like, this is proof that I'm ready, but your system's not working. And then they've actually gone and extended the deadline. But you have to be communicative and let them know what's going on. So I would say reach out to them if you can, and see if it's something that you can upload, because some of these agencies, remember, there's people behind these brands and these agencies, so they understand. And also when the government and corporations have these set aside goals in place, they want to achieve those goals. One of the contracts I got, the woman at the agency was emailing me consistently because she wanted me to submit my proposal because I was certified as a woman-owned small business, and they want to be able to meet their quota. So if you're communicative with them and you're letting them know what's going on, a lot of times they will help you. If it's the last minute, if it's after the deadline, it may be harder because now you have all these other people who may have been able to submit the full proposal, and then you're the only one who didn't. So that's the only thing.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yolanda says, Sammy is sharing what I know about government municipal processes. I grew up hearing don't share more than ask and provide to the letter that is requested. Yes. Clyde, do you want to come off mute and ask your question?
Yeah, so me and my wife both, we've been in this world for a little while. We've been we've veteran-owned certified, a disabled veteran-owned certified, as well as some other local certifications. And the thing is that we are really want to dive into the government contracting, but it's so intimidating. So what I need your help with is understanding this. Getting a contract that I know nothing about and hiring some other person to perform it because of their legitimacy of being able to do this because they matriculate in the regular sector, outside the government sector. Is that a dangerous thing to do, to get a contract that you cannot self-manage?
You said, is it dangerous to do that?
Yeah.
It depends. I would say one of the main things is like you want to know the track record of that company, the good and the bad. You want to know how they've performed because at the end of the day, is your company name and brand on the line. And so teaming and partnering is a real thing, and there's a way to go after real dollars, but you want to know who you're in bed with. You don't want to just pick anyone out of the blue.
And
Yeah.
I would say you want to have at least some familiarity with the industry or the work that's being done. So, because you're not going to know if that company that you subbed it out to, if they're doing things right or not, if you have no idea how it's supposed to be done.
And lastly, I don't know if this is off on here or can y'all point us in the right direction, that we literally have been working for a year and a half to build a portfolio, getting a lot of experience. And the one thing we're missing, and maybe this is not possible, is that one mentor to walk us through the entire process to understand, what we're doing wrong, because this is scary, obviously, but this could be life-changing.
Have you connected with your local PTAC office?
We have worked with our PTAC office, and he's gotten us to the point to where, we've gotten a lot of certifications. We've completed almost everything he told us to do, but to have that person to hold our hand through that not hold our hand, but hey, have that person we can reach out to. We just submitted this, what are your thoughts on it? Type of deal. I'm not looking for somebody to do it for me, but you don't know the mistake you're making with these government. I've submitted one, and all I got was, no answer, knowing that I didn't get chose. Like, what did I do wrong? How could I bid that different? My price was my price.
You can also ask for a debrief. So if you're not awarded a contract, you can reply. And also it helps to keep the lines of communication open because you need to develop relationships. That's working with the government is one of the main things is developing relationships so that they then know, oh, Clyde is in this space, and maybe there's an opportunity. I can email it to him. I have people who email me RFPs all the time and say, Sammy, this is coming out. Let me know if you want to bid on it, right? But I would say ask for debriefs, right? Because those debriefs will help you understand how to firm up your submission. Maybe it's something in how you are explaining what it is you do or how you're going to do the work, products or services related to the RFP. I would also run it past your PTAC representative and ask them, what do you think I did wrong here? You can also have some connections with the SBA, but PTAC is more on the federal side. Yes, thank you.
Actually, aren't they more federal than they are with being local?
What, PTAC?
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, weren't they more focused on the Fed proposals versus the local proposals?
Wait, are you asking why focus on federal versus local?
No. I heard you just say that P-TECH is more federal, and I was about to ask you, aren't they more federal? But then you said the SBA, so I may need to reach out to a representative with the SBA to help me out with local, because I haven't tried federal yet.
With the with local, I would also try the SBDC, the Small Business Development Council.
The SBDC. Thank you so much. I won't take up any more call.
You're
time.
welcome. Did
Thank
you say this was a business with you and your wife?
Yeah, we both are working together. We've been doing a lot of construction, but we are ready to really dive into. We've been sitting on the sideline, like double Dutch, trying to figure out how we could jump into this, government sector, and it's so intimidating. And so we've been working hard, and our goal now is to get one contract before the year ends.
And so in construction, you could do a lot too, because when you talk local, you have your, are you DBE certified?
Just got DBE certified with the City of Houston, MBE certified with the City of Houston. All this happened last week.
Awesome, awesome, congratulations. So getting certified as a DBE is really good, especially as it relates to, I'm here in Connecticut, so we have the Long Island Railroad, Metro North. You have the DBE certification, for y'all who don't know, is through the Department of Transportation. So there's a lot of construction that happens through the Department of Transportation. But you're on the right track. I would say take advantage of those free resources, SBDC, P-TECH, the SBA, the Women's Business Centers for your wife also. And then also on the corporate side of it, you have WeBank, in the NMSDC, where y'all can get certified also. And a lot of that is the training that they provide to some certified, some uncertified, but mostly their certified members. Because there's a lot of training through the SBA and the SBDC and P-TECH that will position you for success when you're in those streets. Okay, thank you,
Thank you so much.
Clyde.
I appreciate your help.
You're welcome. All right, so yeah, come off of mute if you have a question, throw it in the chat. WeBank, that is, and I'm not gonna get it right. It's the Women's Business Educational. Nope, not gonna do it. But there are regional RPOs of WeBank. So they just did a name change. So I'm part of WeBank Metro New York. They do a lot of work with WeBank Metro DC. I just finished the program, a training class with WeBank Pacific. That was a really good training class. And so there's a lot of information out there, and we're going to cover all that in February too. So proposal writing. Letitia, can you entertain them for a bit? My son's school is calling.
Okay. So Samantha mentioned a lot of different resources. I have been putting all the links in the chat. So if you take a look at the chat, you'll see the link for WeBank, WBENC. You will see the link for the SBA and SBDC. Those are both on the same site. So that link is there. And then you'll see the link for P-TECH hosted. So until Samantha comes back, just wanted to remind everyone of, especially those that joined late, we have a series of events coming up. Our next event is in December, in person in Hartford, Connecticut, for all of those that are local to Connecticut. That is December 8th, Thursday, December 8th from 5 to 8 p.m. at the Russells. I'm going to put all the links in the chat again that we went over at the beginning of the meeting. And there is a $10 off coupon for the in-person event in December. It's CMWP 2022. That is only good up until 11:59 p.m. today. So please register and just reach out to us if anyone has questions. I'll put our website in the chat also. Any questions, just reach out, email us. We're on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, CMWP Networking.
Thank you, Letitia. Real-time mompreneur school calls happens.
Switch your view though.
Oh, I did it again. Hold on.
Yes.
it won't let me, hold on.
You have to stop sharing your screen.
Yeah, stop sharing.
Yeah, I couldn't find it. It was on the other screen. Okay, hold on. All right. Thank you, Letitia. All right, so back to proposal writing, and this next slide is going to answer a whole lot of your questions. I didn't see this in the chat yet, but I know it's coming, and the answer is no. There are no templates for proposal writing. There's none. I call it a document. You have your proposal document, and you should all start preparing a proposal document in case you don't already have one. But there's no template, and the reason for that is the information included in your proposal may change, remember, based on the solicitation that you are submitting for. But there's a lot of standard content that will remain the same, right? So when you're starting to write your proposal, you want to remember structure, right? So one, you want to start with your letterhead, because you're basically forming a business letter, right? That's it. The proposal will be a business letter structure. It's paragraph type. It's going to be very executive level writing. You're going to use bullet points or smart art to break it up. You're not including a bio unless they ask for it. Your bio may be wonderful, but if they don't ask for it, then you're not going to include it. You just had to mute someone. Smart art. This is an example of smart art. I understand not everyone will know exactly what smart art is, but if I go back to this image that you see on my screen is smart art. I get to smart art. You do insert, you can do this in Word, PowerPoint, insert, smart art, and then select the style you would like. And all this does is break up the content, so it's not just content heavy. You have some imagery also. So I can click this button and say, I want to change my smart art and I want it to look like this, right? It transformed a little bit. I can take this and say, and it'll tell you if it doesn't work too. Now I want it to look like this, right? And you see here on the right, on the left, is not working. So that's how you play around with your content. I usually start with bullet points, and then I turn my bullet points into smart art. Get back to the screen here. Okay. All right, so you want to be clear and concise and specific. You're not giving them any extra information. You're answering, responding to exactly what they wanted, because remember, your proposal is going to reflect your company's professionalism. It's going to prove how intelligent and qualified and capable you are to do the work that you're saying that you can do. But to do this, you want to avoid the use of jargon, fluff, and filler words. My first company was Sam's Word, so there's some things I have to throw in here when it comes to writing, because my head just can't. You're using one space after a period. That's pure grammar. It's in the APA rules. Sorry for those who like two spaces after a period. Don't do that. You're not using any symbols like the ampersand. You're going to spell out any acronyms. And if it is an acronym, then you spell it out and you put the acronym at the end, and no run-on sentences. Make sure there's no grammatical errors, and you can help eliminate a lot of this by using tools like Grammarly. So I hope you guys are using Grammarly when you're doing your proposals and any other business writing. I run everything through Grammarly. So you want to start here. And these are some of the standard sections you're going to see in your proposal you want to see. So again, you're starting with company letterhead. So you're already going to have your logo on it. It's going to have your contact information on there. And now you're using your letterhead, and you're going to structure it as a business letter, right? Business letter starts with the date. What date are you submitting it? Your point of contact, right? So it's just like a letter style, the organization's name, the person's name you're sending it to. You can also put how it was submitted. Sometimes I put submitted via email with the email address, submitted via fax. You want to do business with the federal government, they are still using fax machines. You may include an executive summary. So things like a title page, an executive summary, table of content may not be required. I've seen people who structure all of their proposals with an executive summary with a table of content. And then I've seen RFPs that ask for it. So if the RFP asks for a table of content and they ask for an executive summary, then you want to make sure that you are giving them what they asked for. And usually in an executive summary, if they're asking for it, it'll tell you what they want in an executive summary. Usually that executive summary is a 1 page. So your first page will list, again, what we mentioned, their information, the proposal, the solicitation you're submitting for, the scope of work, and they may ask for how you're going to perform the work and your pricing all on 1 page, and then you get into your full proposal. So again, you're reading what they're asking for. And then you have your company overview as it relates to the solicitation. So if I'm submitting a proposal for a social media management RFP, my company overview is going to speak to our experience with social media management. It's not going to include websites. It's not going to include copywriting. It's going to include social media management. You also want to include your certifications, socioeconomic designations. A lot of RFPs ask for that now. So you want to make sure that that's included. And it's included where they ask for it. If they don't ask for it, then you're going to include it in the beginning. You're going to have a brief section about who you are. Well, we're submitting this proposal in response to this RFP. And then below that, your certifications. Our company is certified in this and this and that in these places, all that information. Your EIN, your DUNS, your UEI, your CAGE, and your NAICS codes. Those of you already in the government space, y'all are familiar with DUNS, UEI, CAGE, NAICS. You get a lot of this information as you register in SAM.gov. SAM.gov is the primary database for federal contract opportunities. Your UEI is your unique something identifier, slips in mind. But your UEI comes from SAM.gov. Your CAGE number comes from SAM.gov. Your DUNS number comes from either Dun & Bradstreet directly or SAM.gov. And then your NAICS code are your industry specific codes. So you should have a primary NAICS code, and then you should have secondary NAICS codes. And depending on what you are submitting for, you may switch up for that one opportunity, you may switch up your primary NAICS code. However, in SAM.gov, you have a primary designated overall primary NAICS code, which also aligns with your tax return. So it's all connected. So then you have your scope of work summary. And remember, that's pulling content exactly from the RFP. They're saying we need this because of this reason. You're saying, I understand you need this because of this reason. And then including your timeline from initiation to completion. How long is it going to take you to get this project done? What are the milestones along the way? When are check-in periods, right? You want to make sure you have all of that included in your timeline. Some ask for a project plan. How are you going to execute all of the items required for completion? Remember to include your solicitation number in the title. You can put this in the header, but also definitely on your cover page, it needs to be there. Your price, again, you got to send it to them how they want it. If they want your price in a sealed envelope, then you give it to them in a sealed envelope. If they want it using a specific spreadsheet that they send you, then you're going to pull up that spreadsheet and you're going to do your pricing according to their documentation. And then a closing statement or boilerplate, right? And it can be very simple. I appreciate your time considering me for this opportunity. We look forward to working with you, whatever it may be, but you want to conclude your proposal. And then you have your signature also. Yes, Babs, you missed it in the beginning when I went through all of my awards, multiple award winner. Thank you, Babs. Any questions? Oh, thank you, Kizzy. Unique entity identifier. I should know that because I've been saying the word entity a lot this week because of SAM.gov. And again, Follow the submission instructions. Do they want it via email? Do they want it mailed in? Does it have to be postmarked by a specific date in an envelope that's marked accordingly? Do they want it via fax? Are there multiple copies you need to submit? Do you need to submit a binder with specified tabs? They want color-coded tabs too, numbered, color-coded, everything. Do you need to submit a flash drive? I understand everyone doesn't use flash drives, but if you're submitting for an opportunity and their requirement is you submit a flash drive, then you go get a flash drive. I actually submitted a proposal, and I had to submit via email. I had to mail a copy, and I had to send 3 flash drives. And I didn't really have flash drives. Thankfully, I had a bit of time, about a month notice before it was due. So you know what I went and did? I ordered some branded flash drives. I don't think I still have any more. I do. I ordered branded flash drives with my company logo on it, so that when I submitted it to them, actually have 3 in here. When I submitted it to them, they knew it was coming directly from 628 Digital Design. Or should your submission be electronic in a paper submission? Because remember, we reviewed that other proposal that was found non-compliant. They did not submit their proposal the way they were structured. So this is an example of RFP and their submission guidelines. So deadline of submission. So it must be sealed and delivered to the city at the address set forth below at or before 2 o'clock on June 23rd, 2022, very specific. Any proposals received beyond this deadline will be deemed ineligible. All proposals must be labeled on the outside with the city's name, and this is the name of the RFP. The original 1 proposal, 4 copies, 1 electronic version must be submitted in a sealed envelope or box. The electronic version must be provided in Adobe Acrobat format written to a single USB drive or similar device. The electronic version must be an exact duplicate of the original hard copy proposal, and both must comply with the format requirements of this RFP. Failure to submit in the manner prescribed may cause the proposal to be rejected. That's a lot of boxes to check off in this one little paragraph. But if you do not follow every single thing they have written here, you're disqualified. Okay, so when you're writing your proposal, one of the first things to do is look at the eligibility criteria, make sure you're eligible, and the submission criteria, right? If you don't have enough time to prepare and get all of this done, you're going to end up wasting your time. Okay.
I have a quick question again. This is Clyde.
Hi, Clyde.
Getting involved in all this here and like I say again, being a bit intimidated by all the jargon. Do you have any recommendation for any legal representation that supports veterans or organizations doing this, so that once we get one of these contracts, which I'm gonna believe we're gonna get, just to make sure we got that legal backup to support us in delivering the deliverables?
I would again go through PTAC, but also finding a business attorney who's familiar with government contracting.
Okay.
And that will narrow it down some. But that will, when issues come up, that will be your best bet, right? Because they'll be familiar with government contracts, like not the contract that you win, but the legal contract that you're signing to do business with the federal government. So you want someone who has that level of expertise.
That's what I'm worried about, that I get one of those contracts and I win it and boom, I overlook something in that contract that I didn't understand the lingo of it.
But PTAC is supposed to help you with that. PTAC is supposed to be able to, you should have a PTAC representative and they should be able to walk you through exactly what all of the guidelines are.
So I think I'm going to check my PTAC representative, because we have a lot of meetings with him, but he seems a bit hands off.
And you could also, you could go to their boss, whoever they report to, and let them know also.
I
But
guess I
some,
haven't. I'm gonna ask him. Now I know what to ask him. I'm just gonna check him, and then if he don't respond, then I'll talk to the boss.
and that's a lot of this is checking them, right? Because this is, you got to remember, it's PTAC, but this is their job, right? So some people may be less committed to their job than others. So, you know, he could be tapped out and applying to other jobs at this point. So it all varies. But I would say you're doing the right things, hold them more accountable, and then also get with like-minded networks like this, right? Like CMWP Foundation, the Collaboration Minority Women Professionals. I invite your wife to join, right? Collaboration is a membership-based organization. Letitia can put that information in the chat too. Go ahead, Clyde.
Yeah, she's on with us. I
Okay,
realize
hi.
it's primarily women, but baby, I'm gonna let you talk for now.
No, the Collaboration of Minority Women Professionals is primarily women, but this is being done under the CMWP Foundation, which is men and women. So
Yes.
you're okay.
The CMWP Foundation serves Black and minority men, women, and children. So Clyde, you have a voice at this table. But yes, coming into these spaces with other people, other entrepreneurs, other people doing business, people who have been successful doing business with the government, people who have been successful in construction, that's going to really help you get more comfortable and familiar with the ins and outs of your particular industry. Anyone else? Yolanda's doing the tax write-offs. Yes, thank you, Yolanda. All right, so here is an example of, was this a sources sought? This was a special notice that I submitted. And this is when I was under my first company, Sam's Word. So see how I structured this exactly how they asked for it. In the RFP, they asked for this to be labeled. They wanted to be put to the attention of this this. This is the special notice, right? And then number one, they asked for all of this information. And so this is what I provided to them in number one. This is exactly, a screenshot from the proposal. So the company name, the address, point of contact, and they asked for it, the DUNS, the CAGE, the tax ID, the small type of business. So this is an opportunity to put in those socioeconomic designations. So the certification is when you're actually certified in that, for that, that designation. The socioeconomic designation is if you are a Black woman, if you are a minority woman, if you are a veteran, although you don't have those specific certifications. When they ask for the type of small business, the only one missing here is micro small. So you can also include micro small business, minority owned. And that way you're letting them know upfront, we're part of these set asides and we would like to be included. So yes, again, if you're doing business with the federal government, get you a fax line. My fax line comes to my cell phone. It works via email. I do not have a fax machine, but I do have a fax line in case that's how they want to communicate. And then this is an example of sources sought. So again, it has the logo up here. This is who I'm submitted it to via email. This is directly from the RFP that they issued. This is the sources sought title that they were looking for. And then this is what it was for. And then this is, the way this is structured is exactly how they had it in the sources sought. And again, a sources sought means it's not a contract. It's not a request for a proposal. It may not lead to a contract. They're doing market research to see who's available. So down here again, they ask for the business size. So economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business with the hub zone pending. These are all differentiators, which could lead to this RFP being issued to a set aside for the EDWOSB. economically disadvantaged women-owned small business, and that is a certification that you would get through the SBA. Rosalie, I use phone.com for my business phone and fax. eFax is one, and Google may have one too. I'm not sure. Any questions?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hey, Graham from Australia.
Hi. Yes, yes. Look, I basically tuned in to get tips to do what you're talking about to the Australian government. But since then, I've sort of been thinking that there's a lot of opportunities for international companies to do some work in America. I have a fiance who's shortly going to become a business partner. She's a woman of color from Ghana. And I'm just wondering whether I could think about setting up an LLC or something in America and then sort of registering in the way that you've been talking about tonight with some of the organizations that sort of sponsor companies with women of color and whatnot. And maybe there's an opportunity for me to try and make a bit of money out of the American government.
Yes, because business is global, right? Like
Yes.
like you said, you're in Australia and you're partnering with a woman in Ghana. Like that's.
Well, my basic work is that I'm a capital raise consultant. So I help companies raise venture capital and I act as a mentor to them, review their business plans, get them sort of all sorted out so that when they approach or when I approach on their behalf to an investor database I've built up, they're pre-qualified and it sort of helps break the ice and get things underway. So that's the sort of nature of the work I do.
I love that. I hope you're finding this workshop beneficial.
It is very interesting. Yes, I'm enjoying it.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Hi, Sam.
Hey, Karen.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Question. If you, for instance, your sources sought here is in Virginia, you have a sources sought or an RFP in a different state. How do you, say for instance, you got the job, you got the contract. How do you then manage a contract from Connecticut or from your state in another state? Say for instance, it's not like something that has to be written, but an actual, say, construction or a cleaning contract or something of that sort. How do you manage it from where you're at? Do you have to go visit or find someone there? Say you're teaming, or do you go and find someone there in that state to team with?
So it all depends on your company structure. So you may have offices in that state. So you may already have a team in that state, and then you would just deploy them to that project. Say you do janitorial work and you live in Connecticut and you got a job in Virginia. Somebody has to show up to do that work. So you could hire independent contractors, you could hire employees, you could partner with another janitorial firm, again, where you're the prime and they're the subcontractor. And that locally based organization is the one doing the work. But again, like me and Letitia was saying earlier, you want to know that they're capable of doing the job. You want to know that, they can fulfill the scope of work, that they do great work, and you don't want to just hire anyone. So there's multiple ways to go about doing that.
Okay, so before you hire, you would say visit, or you get references from people in that state. Okay.
Yeah, you would do references. If it's something that requires a portfolio, you can request a portfolio, definitely checking references, doing a background check, doing a credit check. You can do all kinds of things to try to make sure that you're making the best decision. If you're not the one doing the work. I know people who travel in and out of state all the time, every single day. So it could be you doing the work. You could end up with a project that's quarterly, and every quarter you go to this location to perform the work. So it all depends on how the scope of work is structured and how your organization is structured.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I had another example here. This is gonna be hard to read, but this is like a full proposal from beginning to end. And I like this example because it has the sustainability. So you see this is structured. Oh, that was the other thing I meant to mention. You want to include page numbers in your header or footer, depending on how your format works, but make sure you're including page numbers. So it's structured on letterhead. The first paragraph, it calls out the RFI, so request for information. It calls out that information, that number. It has this business certifications, socioeconomic designations in the first paragraph. Second paragraph is the business overview. Well, second and third are business overview. This particular RFP asks for core values and any additional information we would like to share. So when they say that, like, tell us why we need to pick you. What's your differentiators? Then you can add in some of this other stuff, right? So I added in our company core values. I added in our 6 pillars of sustainability. As a side note, sustainability and ESG, environmental social governance, is extremely huge right now. If you can take classes and learn more about sustainability and ESG, I highly recommend you do that. And then you include it in your capability statement on your website and in your proposals. Okay, so this one asks for past performance. And then we got into the scope of work, the cost factors, implementation timeline. And then this was specific to this opportunity. So that's where targeting and the expected outreach services, and then the projected costs. So we factor in all of this. We use smart art throughout, right? So you see the smart art. There's a question. What if you're new to government contracts? How do you provide that? This is a requirement for both, I've noticed. Can you use experience from your own personal company? Absolutely. And even when I first got started, I was applying for the GSA, which is like government contracting on steroids. And for the GSA, I was new to business, but they also wanted they wanted 3 examples of past performance for each type of work that I could do. And after getting training and going to workshops, I learned that I could leverage my corporate experience because I was brand new to entrepreneurship. So I didn't have any entrepreneur experience, but I was able to say I was able to acquire these skills and abilities through these positions. So it's going to be the same for you, Dr. Britt. You're going to say, this is my experience, this is how I've done it. But as you start to build your business and get that past performance, then you're going to be able to start to move away from that type of past performance using that. And the other thought I just had, when you're doing your capability statement, when you're preparing our proposals, the government uses the term past performance. And I learned this through my training program I just did with Morgan Stanley, right? So the government uses past performance. Corporate likes to use the term past and current, previous and current clients. So you want to make sure you're using the right language depending on who your audience is. Can past performance be the subcontractor past performance? Absolutely. So on my team, I am not a digital marketing professional. I run a digital content design and marketing company. People on my team are the professionals. So I say all the time, I'm preparing this RFP for this proposal for a website job. So I go to the website designer on my team and say, which of your experiences best match up with this opportunity? And then she will send me websites that she's done, and we include that in the proposal. However, I've had people who left my team already, right? So if someone left my team, I'm no longer including their past performance in my proposal. So you want to be mindful of that also. Any other questions on this?
I was going to unmute. So, but that's somebody who's in your team. But what if I'm hiring a a trucking company to perform trucking. I have nothing to do with that, but I know the subcontractor I'm working with, can I include his past performance as my past performance or not? Is that like blurring the lines?
No, so you would include his. So in your proposal, you should mention your partnership arrangement. If it's a subcontractor, teaming, partnership, whatever it may be, there's other proposals where they want to see the project team. And so then I prepare proposals with a headshot and a bio, a headshot with a resume. And that gives you an opportunity to specify who has which experience and what is your role. So if you don't have this experience, what is your role? So your role is, I'm the prime on this. I partnered with this agency. They're experts at doing this, and this is their skills and qualifications. And so that would also be towards the beginning of the proposal, where you're describing the team and the organization. And to fulfill the scope of services laid out in this RFP, we will be recruiting this organization as a subcontractor. Does that make sense?
Yes, a lot. Thank you.
Okay. And then when you are just about done with your proposal, remember, you can't just write in and walk away and hit submit. That's not it. You have to should be using a tool like Grammarly. You want to reread, review, and revise as needed. If you need another set of eyes to look it over for you, if you need help with your numbers, I sometimes give my numbers to Letitia. She's a data scientist. We didn't go through our intros, but Letitia's a data scientist. So my math don't be mathing. I'll give it to Letitia. Does this make sense? Okay, thank you. Have someone who's an expert with that, look it over and review it for you, check the fine print, make sure it's all done. You also want to make sure you are submitting all of the forms and paperwork, whatever needs to be notarized, along with the proposal, because that can automatically disqualify you. I have heard of quite a few agencies who say, oh, if you can't get that form in and you actually end up winning, you can just submit it later. So remember, there's people behind the brand, behind the agency, and they want to see you be successful. So if it's something that you absolutely can't get in, then you can connect with them and say, oh man, I forgot about this form. And some will say, oh, don't worry about it. If you actually get the opportunity, then you can submit that form. And then this always comes up, RFP databases. Sammy, how do you find out about this stuff? Where do you get it from? When it comes to federal government, state, and local municipalities, that's going to be PTAC. SAM.gov is all federal government agencies. PTAC includes those found on SAM.gov and also those from the local and city, state municipalities. What you do is you register in these databases with your NAICS code. So you got to do some research, find out what are your NAICS codes. And when an opportunity comes out that match your NAICS code, the keywords that you entered, they will email it to you and they would say, this is now available. You can go submit for it. Instant Markets is a great one that I use. It is free. I do not pay, no, that's a lie. I pay for one in Canada. Besides that, and I forget which one it is, but usually I don't pay for RFPs. This is free public information. There are databases that require you to pay. But I do not pay for the RFPs that come to my mailbox. I get several a day. Lady, someone is off of mute. So I recommend registering with PTAC. PTAC will put you in a database. You will get those opportunities on a daily basis. SAM.gov, you'll also, SAM.gov doesn't give you an email, but you can go and browse opportunities. All of the opportunities that are available, and there are thousands that are available in the federal government space, are all listed in SAM.gov. Instant markets is really good. In the last workshop I did, someone else told me about Unison. So I signed up for Unison. I don't see, I don't know. I won't be using that long, I don't think. And then public purchase is one that I just registered for, I think last week. So I'm gonna see how that one is. But this is where you go to get the information. All right, and then we are coming up on our third poll. So Randy, we're gonna be doing our third poll because we're pretty much at the end of this session. And so that question is going to be, what is your next action item? Now that you've gone through this workshop, you've hopefully learned something. What's going to be your next step? So whether you have already been in this space or whether you're new to it. So Randy will throw that poll up. And
Poll is active. We have people participating now.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Babs. Yes, put your questions in the chat, put your information in the chat, let us know who you are. Copy and paste the chat. We will not be sending out the chat. If you want to come off of mute and ask a question, we still have about 7 minutes left.
I got a question.
Yes.
All right. First of all, this was so awesome. Yes, Stephanie. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, Babs.
And the one thing I want to know, because this was a lot of information to take in, will we be receiving the recordings of this so we can take time to sort of digest this? You know, I'm an artist.
I just had a brain fart. I'm an artist and I'm serious about mine. Yes, you will be. Babs is an international vocal coach. Yes, you will be receiving the recording of this presentation.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
I have a question. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for hosting this. This was excellent, such excellent and vital information. My name is Natasha Britton and I reside in South Florida. I'm an accountant, consultant, and notary public. But my question, it kind of stems from, I think, maybe like 2 questions prior. The gentleman was asking something about like, if you're basically outsourcing, you know, the job or what have you, I just kind of wanted to get clarification. So let's say like, if I don't do like construction and I see a bid that's about, or RFP that's relevant to construction, but I want to submit for them and have them, I guess, would they be the subprime and I would be the prime?
So what do you mean you want to submit for them?
So for instance, if I see something, but I want to be like the middle person.
So you find the opportunity, you want the contract to be in your company name, but somebody else is going to be doing it.
Yes.
So then you would be the prime.
Okay.
Go ahead. You would be the prime and you would subcontract out the work to your subcontractor.
Okay. And then the verbiage in that, is it relatively the same? Like, oh, this is my business. However, I'm just outsourcing, if you will. Like, and then, oh.
No. So you're going to professionalize the way you say that, right? So you're going to say, so I'm 628 Digital Design. We are a full service digital content design and marketing agency. We specialize in these things. For this opportunity, we are partnering with this agency XYZ, who's a proven leader in this industry, right? And then you give their brief synopsis. They have experience with blah, 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 blah. And then you just go into the work being done because it's all under your company's name. It's not going to be under that other company. The only reason they need to know that other company's name is when you introduce it to them. Everything else is under your company.
Okay. Okay,
And
thank you.
Samantha,
You're
correct me
welcome.
if I'm wrong, but you do have to pay attention. Like, aren't there some RFPs that do not allow you to subcontract? And that's
Yes.
something you would have to look out for.
Yes. And again, it's all in the details. So before you start writing your proposal, you're going through the details and requirements of the RFP.
And B. Saunders said in the chat, make sure Prime is able to perform the percentage of work required for the contract or by the contract.
The sub, that would be the, if you're subbing out and they're doing the work, you want the sub to be able to perform the work. Is that what you're saying, B. Saunders? And you're welcome, Alameta. So yes,
And aren't you going to have some sort of a pretty solid contractual relationship with the company that you're bringing into the situation? If you're going to rely on them to do the job and they don't actually perform, even though they may have a good record, something can always go wrong in a situation like that.
Yes,
So,
and that's exactly what Letitia was mentioning earlier. Right, so you don't want to just pull something, which I've seen it happen all the time. Matter of fact, somebody just contacted me last week. They're working on a website with New York Power Authority, and they need to fulfill their MWBE goals, right? Minority Women Business Enterprise goals. So I'm certified. I'm in the database in New York. They came to me and said, we would like to bring you in. Can you give us pricing? Can you tell us about your company? Randy, how are we looking with the poll?
We are at 36 of 45 who participated, which is 80% participated. I'm going to end the poll now and share the results. So we have 44% that said they will draft a proposal document, 17% will update their proposal document, 47% will research business certifications, 58% will register for RFP databases, 11% will use Grammarly, and 4% will hire a proposal writing expert.
Awesome, awesome. And I'm gonna tell y'all now, that ain't me. The proposal writing is its own beast. I write my own proposals. Eventually my company will grow. I'll hire a business development person to do it. It's a lot of work. I will edit and proofread proposals. I am not writing proposals, just for a disclaimer. Thank you for participating in the polls. And again, before you guys leave, those of you who are here in the States, or Graham, you're welcome to come over from Australia. As Letitia mentioned, we're having our 4th annual networking holiday fundraiser. You have $10 off if you book your tickets, buy your tickets before 11:59 tonight. It's $10 off. Our members receive this code on Monday. Again, Letitia put information in the chat about our membership. Again, portions of these proceeds will go to the Village for Families and Children. But if you're in Connecticut, you need to come out. We got DJ Q Boogie. It's going to be a fun time. It's at the Russell. They got great Jamaican food, or Caribbean food, as Letitia said. Again, Randy is facilitating our quarterly business coaching. This is virtual on Zoom. The dates are listed here. The next one will take place in January. We're working on our 3 SMART goals for 2023 and really firming them up. Those are big, hairy, audacious SMART goals. We don't play small over here. And then our next workshop will be on capability statements and business certifications. That's February 15th on Zoom. I'm making it 2 hours from 12 to 2. There's a lot to dig in there. And then that's my information for my company. And then also for the collaboration, stay connected with us with the collaboration of Minority Women Professionals with CMWP Foundation. You can scan that code. It goes straight to our website. And these are some of the things that we are doing to support Black and Brown minority men, women, and children. So thank you everyone for joining us today.
Thank you, ladies. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, good, Sammy. All right. I'm leaving now. Let me go back to work.
Thank you, Babs.
No problem. I'm the cheerleader. Okay, bye.
Lord, Lord.
Good seeing you two again.
You too, Sydney.
Well, things are going well, so you might can get some free lunch. I'll be in touch.
I think we deserve free lunch. Thank you, Sydney.
I'm very proud of you. I think you do. And I've
Wow.
got a couple of other things, software design. I've branched out into some things, so we'll catch up.
Okay, cool.
Okay, all righty.
Thank
Have a good one.
you. Good seeing
Bye-bye.
you.
Love you, ladies.
Mwah.
Smile, Letitia. You look serious all the time. There you go. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. I'm trying to get the chat. Did anyone get, oh, save chat. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm on mute. Sorry, I did save it. Oh.
Okay. Awesome. And